Who will be the 2024 Libertarian Party nominee for president? Will it be Gary Johnson again? Will it be Joe Jorgensen again? Will it be literally anybody else? We can only hope so. We're going to go through that today. I haven't seen very many videos or articles talking about the Libertarian presidential campaign, so that's what we're going to go through today. I will be using this website. This is LPedia. This kind of tracks history of the Libertarian Party, and they've got a good census of what's going on so far. So we're going to take a look at these declared candidates. We will take a look at some of these potential candidates, and we will also look at the one withdrawn candidate from the race. So to start, of the main declared candidates, they've done 2 presidential forums with Larry Sharpe. If you want to go check those out, you can. They're both over an hour and a half long and really boring. So if you have literally anything else to do with 3 hours of your life, do the other thing. But if you have 3 hours to sit there and watch your brain melt away, spend them watching these debates. But that's what I'm going to try to hash out today so that hopefully you don't have to do that. So to start off with, the person who's withdrawn was the one and only Joe Exotic. So Joe Exotic had obviously run for president in 2016 and for governor as a Libertarian of Oklahoma. And people were concerned he was going to run as a Libertarian for president in 2024. He is in prison still. Obviously, he has to reference that he's gay and that he's got cats, and that he's done drugs. Interesting guy, but he did announce that he will be running as a Democrat. So he will not be bothering the Libertarians in the Libertarian Party. So there you go. That should be a positive for the Libertarians. So now to get into some of those candidates that participated in the debates hosted by Larry Sharpe. First, we're going to take a look at Lars Mapstead. Lars Mapstead, he's from California. He's an activist who his big thing seems to be growing the Libertarian Party, which is obviously a good thing. Lord knows that the third biggest party in America could get a whole lot bigger because it's very small. So he talks about how he wants every member of the party to add one member of the party. And whether or not that will work as a way to grow the party, I don't know. But the other thing about him that I noticed is he's very proud of his meme game on Facebook. So if you're ever bored, scroll through Lars for President on Facebook. He's got some, some good memes about liberty. So that's Lars Mapstead. Next one I'll go into is a guy named Mike Termott. Mike Termott. He's from Florida. He seems to have a background in finances, and that seems to be what he talks about a lot. Talks about a lot about ending the Fed and other financial issues like that. And the other thing I'll say about him is he has a huge team. Look at all the people he has helping his team for a Libertarian campaign. Oh my goodness. He's got an advisory team. Good for Mike. Good for Mike Termott. He's got a ton of people helping him out. Next up, we're going to look at Joshua Rodriguez. Now, Joshua Rodriguez, his website seems to have been taken down. He's a biochemist. He's a scientist of some sort. He has a Twitter. It's private. And he has been a Democrat, a Republican, and a member of the Unity Party in the past. So I would consider him a not realistic candidate. And really, I would probably consider Mike Termott and Lars Mapstead not realistic candidates either. So to get into some of the more realistic candidates, I would consider Chase Oliver maybe of the declared people the front runner as of now. So who is Chase Oliver? Chase Oliver ran for Senate in 2022. You may remember this election in Georgia where he was that guy in the middle. There was a big election in Georgia where it had the potential to flip the fate of the Senate, and Chase Oliver was the Libertarian who was in the middle and was obstructing the Republicans or Democrats from getting a majority, forced the race into a runoff. The Democrats did end up winning it, but he got a lot of publicity from what he did during that election. So that's where you might have heard of him from. He is obviously from Georgia, and he seems to be the candidate who's opposed to the Mises Caucus. He's gay. He talks about that a lot, and he talks mostly about social issues. So most of his issues he looked into are about immigration, criminal justice, marijuana, which are all obviously important things, but he seems mostly focused on the social issues, doesn't seem to be big on the financial issues, which is fine. But I think that's his role as being kind of the gay guy running for the Libertarian nomination. I would say as of now, of the declared candidates, he would be my front runner. Now, I'm not a party insider. I don't have any insider information, but he seems to have the most following as of now. The next person I want to talk about has not been in Larry Sharp's debates. It's a guy named Jacob Hornberger. Jacob Hornberger was the person who finished in second place during the 2020 nominations behind Joe Jorgensen. So you can see these vote totals. He was the runner-up. Jacob Hornberger is running for president again. I don't really have a lot of reason to believe that he will do any better than he did last time. But if you want to come read about his policy positions, they're on his website, jacobforliberty.com. He is an attorney from Virginia, and he founded the Future of Freedom Foundation, which is like a big libertarian kind of think tank. And he seems like a smart guy who may be a little bit out of touch with what normal people talk about or care about. So I wouldn't consider him a front runner per se, but he's probably next to Chase Oliver. I would consider him the second most likely of the declared candidates right now. Last person who's declared that I'm going to talk about is a guy named Bo Lindsay, and I'm only talking about Bo Lindsay because one, his website says it's Bo Time 24, which is awesome. And second, he is the only anonymous candidate running for president. So he's running anonymously, so I have nothing to say about him. And do with that information what you will. I don't know if that's a great strategy, but it's certainly funny. So those are the declared people right now. Now, Chase Oliver, Jacob Hornberger, probably the two of that group that might have a real shot. Maybe Mike Termont, I would say, would probably be the third most likely of the people declared right now. But really, the nomination's probably going to come down to one of two people. It will probably come down to between Dave Smith and Justin Amash. So let's talk about both of them briefly. So Dave Smith is a comedian. He's from New York. And you might know him because he's been on the Joe Rogan Experience several times. He also has his own podcast called Part of the Problem, and he's on a comedian podcast called Legion of Skanks. He's a pretty big comedian. He's done a lot of stand-up comedy. He's a big advocate for the Mises Caucus, and he seems probably like he will be the Mises candidate. Basically, what happens is he goes on podcasts, and he talks about all these issues, and people go, well, Dave, why don't you run for president? He goes, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. We'll see. And it's like, all right, you're obviously running, but obviously he wants some like big campaign announcement. So I understand from that sense, but I would almost certainly say that Dave Smith will be running for the Libertarian nomination in 2024. His big things are end the wars, end the Fed. And he's pretty socially conservative, certainly more so than some of the other candidates that we've talked about today. And he's definitely the candidate of the Mises Caucus. He was a big fan of the Mises Caucus take over the party, and he was a big advocate for that online. So I would say he's probably one of the most likely candidates to win the nomination. The other one I would say is likely is Justin Amash. Justin Amash, you probably know him. He was a congressman from Michigan, and he switched his party nomination to Libertarian after previously having been a Republican. And he will probably run, and he will probably be like the unifying candidate between the Mises Caucus and everybody else. So everybody seems like they like him, but I don't know how many people are ecstatic about him. So that's where the Libertarian candidates for 2024 stand as of now. And let me know if you think any of these people have the best chance, who you'll be voting for if you're a Libertarian, and who you think might make for the funniest candidate. Because Lord knows Libertarians have had some funny moments in past elections.